Cześć, witam Was serdecznie. Mam nadzieję, że już po obiedzie albo po lunchu. Ci młodzi, którzy dołączyli do nas o godzinie 2:00, słyszałem od nauczyciela od Artura, że dzisiaj macie chyba częściowo wolne dni. Dużo się dzieje w Waszych szkołach, więc ci, którzy mają egzaminy, trzymam kciuki, a ci, którzy są jeszcze przed, trzymam kciuki za rok kolejny. Moi drodzy, dzisiaj mamy specjalnego gościa na naszym live'ie, na naszym live show albo live chat. Za chwilę będę go starał się Wam zaprezentować, albo lepiej jak on sam się zaprezentuje. Wracamy po chwilowej przerwie do naszych regularnych spotkań, gdzie rozmawiamy zarówno o projekcie, który obecnie realizujemy w Mińsku Mazowieckim, ale również o tym, co dzieje się na świecie. Dzisiejszy gość związany jest z domeną blockchain, z ciekawymi rozwiązaniami, ale mam nadzieję, że za chwilę będzie miał szansę przedstawić Wam się osobiście. Czekajcie, muszę przełączyć i w tym momencie przełączam się również ja na język angielski. Hello Michael, how are you, where are you and how it's going in New York?
Hi Sebastian, so glad to be here. I am in Manhattan in New York City and doing well. It's a wonderful day.
I used to live in New York almost 1 year. It was over or almost 20 years ago. It is still for me one of the most favorite city I've ever met, I've ever been. That's a little bit jealous that you are in New York. I hope this year I will as well visit this beautiful international multicultural city.
Yes, you're definitely welcome, and hopefully one day I'll come to visit in Warsaw as well, because great thing.
Yes, I think that we have even some reason to meet together in Poland. Michael, can you just as well tell me in which district you live in? It is Brooklyn, Queens, maybe Manhattan, or where do you live?
So yeah, I'm in Manhattan. I'm in the Upper East Side, so it's a neighborhood here.
Okay. Michael, you know, because normally our agenda is more or less ordered. That is the first important question, is because this live chat is for interesting solution as well as for leaders from city domain. Michael, few words about you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So again, very glad to be here. I'm super excited. So I'm Michael Mazur. I'm one of the co-founders of the UrbanChange Protocol. For the past, I would say almost 8 years, I've been working with local governments in the intersection of smart cities and technology and innovation. Initially starting more in the electric vehicle charging space, so more in the sustainability area. And in the past over 3 years with Colu and the UrbanChange Protocol, working with cities on incentives and on ways to encourage positive behaviors in government or from constituents in their city. So think about things like recycling, healthy behaviors, shopping at local businesses and things like that. And super interested about the way that cities can use incentives to maximize and improve outcomes of their budgets. And with blockchain, of course, it's a tool that I think really can help solve a lot of these problems. So super excited also to talk about that.
1 second, do you hear me?
Yes.
Michael? Because I see only my snapshot, I will just remove it and I will add myself again. However, there is some problems with video, I think. I'm moving or I'm just stable like a figure, you know, as a monument.
You're frozen.
I'm frozen. I think there is something with internet. There is the second time that some bad thing happened. One thing, I will just check it manually. I will just, Michael, I have one big request. Till I will fix the problem with video, please, can you introduce a little bit your company in general or the solution? Not speak about the use case. Just speak a little bit about your company, your most, I think, it is as well for me, by the way, the most amazing case that you develop together with your company, with your startup, with your colleagues.
Perfect. Yeah. So UrbanChange, the UrbanChange Protocol was incubated by Colu. And Colu has been working in the United States for a little over 3 years. And I'll talk a little bit about the work that Colu does and then how it connects to UrbanChange. And so with Colu, the work that we do is that we work with different cities in the United States, and we create an app for them. And the app is, in essence, rewards people who live in the city for taking actions that meet the goals of the local government. So like I was saying earlier, we saw that a lot of cities in the United States want their residents to do things like shop at local businesses, to recycle, to take a bike instead of driving their car, right, to reduce emissions from transportation. And with all that going on, we were able to launch our product in over 10 cities in the United States, including Akron, Ohio, Boston, most recently Houston, Texas. And what that means is that each city has their app and that people can take actions. They earn local coins. So let's say you live in Akron, you'll earn an Akron coin, which you can only use at Akron businesses. So we call it the circular economy. And we can basically say that from a city's perspective, they can maximize the impact of their budgets. Now, a lot of the work that we did in the United States, we saw that cities in Europe and in other countries, such as Poland, have a very similar need and are looking to do things that help achieve their UN SDG goals, that help achieve a lot of their climate goals, their sustainability goals, their smart cities goals. And basically the way it works is that we work with cities in Poland, which we'll talk about in a bit, and cities in Europe. And we create this app for the local government where when people take different actions in the city, so think about things like they ride their bike, they walk 10,000 steps per day, they do things like that, they earn the local coin, and then they can only use that coin at local businesses in the city. And that way the incentive really drives impact.
One second, Michael, because you are touching very important domain. As you know, currently we are developing, let's call it Urban Living Lab in Minsk Mazowiecki, that we try to test, verify, or even explore a little bit domain of blockchain. You did something extremely important for all of us, I think, because you showed that blockchain can be reused as a solution, as a tool, not only facilitate the life, not only create one very secure and valuable source of information, but you are giving some tool which is answering one of the hottest topic, ESG or sustainable development. Yeah. What was, in fact, what imposed you to to create it? What was the reason that you figured out this case?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, let's just say about the blockchain. I mean, we look at the blockchain as a tool to solve problems in a way that can be done much better than without the blockchain, right? So it's a tool. It's not about, there's great hype and everything, but we're talking about really the impact, right? That's most important. And what we realized is that in a lot of governments and a lot of different scenarios, especially when we talk about ESG goals or SDG goals, we don't always know. There's all these amazing big press releases. Okay, great. There's $1 million for sustainability, $100,000 for healthy living. But then, so you see the press release, but then you go a year later and you say, okay, wait, what happened with that budget? What was the outcome? Did it really help people or was it just a press release? And we realized that there really often is not sufficient transparency as it relates to those different types of initiatives that are meant to really make our lives better. Think about reducing carbon emissions or doing things that help promote our healthy lives. So what sparked us to think of this is we saw that the blockchain is a tool that can really create transparency so that you can see exactly what a budget is and you can translate a budget into outcomes. So think about $1,000. What can $1,000 in the US? Maybe that can be X amount of CO2 emissions saved. $1,000 could be 1,000 hours of education about the climate. And once you can convert dollars into actions, you can come up with better outcomes and also learn over time to optimize. Because if I don't know, maybe if you give someone $2 for recycling 100 bottles, maybe that's not enough. But you won't know that until you try. And that's where the data is so important. And the blockchain really helps with that.
I think that you are touching the point which is, I think, is quite visible as well in my country, and I think is majority of European countries and cities as well, because as you mentioned, this sustainable development, there is one of the most more or less strategy for all of cities for this near and far future. However, apart from many fabulous buzzwords, it's really hard to measure, the impact real impact, what doesn't mean that the government on city spends something to improve the life of citizens. However, there is always problem to measure it, because as you said, if I'm just going with the plastic bottle to the dedicated place just to live it, it means that it's okay, I can get some tip, I don't know, maybe some discount to go to the cinema in order to have a fun. However, to really measure the impact, how government, local government is just impacting this let's domain, I think it's really hard to figure out, that this really impact. On the other hand, what I got from the Polish environment, I think that as well cities, they don't have a real idea how to measure it. When you just contacted me about the solution, I'm so loving it, because it sounds that we really can measure the impact of sustainable activities on the earth as well on the city. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I was so happy to find you also with your work that you're doing with the blockchain city in Poland. So for me, it was also exciting to see that there are others who have the same, mindset and are looking to do the same things. I would say to your point, I totally understand that. Again, from working with so many cities, we realize that it's not their fault, but a lot of times, there's so many other priorities. And I think that's sometimes where the blockchain and these types of tools can help, because they assume that the city has to handle a lot of other things, and they can be done in a way that really can utilize the people who live in a city to make sure that, think about it this way, if it's just the government and the people who work in the government, but then all the constituents, all the people who live in the city are just living their lives and doing whatever they want to do, that's fine. But then it's like a small team compared to, thousands or hundreds of thousands of others. And if you can utilize the strength of the community itself and create an incentive model, right, where the people who live in the community are actually the people who are taking the action and they're being rewarded for it, then you can really, so I would call it amplify, or really put an exponent, make exponential returns. And again, like I think to your point, nothing is perfect, but I think that over time, the feedback loop, think about it this way. When you take an action, if you just, you recycle 100 bottles and then that's it, then fine, maybe you won't do it again. But let's say you recycle 100 bottles, but then you get one point or one cool thing, or maybe you'll get a t-shirt that says like, I'm a recycler. Maybe that's a feedback loop. You'll share it with your friends. Maybe you'll then want to do it again, because you're constantly doing more, and there's a feedback side. So I think the feedback loop is also very critical, and it really creates a long-term behavioral change in people.
Michael, now I think that we can dive a little bit to the topic, to the application you already done. I will just attach to our discussion. I'll take this 1 second, add to the stream. Okay, we have the presentation. I will just look that we will, that's. I think that this is good, because it shows on the real use case you already done in United States, especially for our audience. It just describes how can be done. It is not the real idea, not the even real, because it's real. However, it's not only idea, it is the really tangible already solution, which is available for citizens, for inhabitants in United States. Yes, Michael?
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, let me just quickly walk y'all through. So if you can see here, these are some examples from cities in the United States, cities and counties in the United States, and how the app has really created a behavioral change. So when you look at a county, San Mateo County, it's actually the Silicon Valley area. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that.
Yeah.
The county wanted their employees to walk more, because they drive a car everywhere, and they just usually walk only a few thousand steps, if not less, per day. And so the county actually put an incentive and said, if you walk a certain amount of steps per week, you'll then get local points, county points, that you can then use at local businesses. And we saw that the incentive actually created an enormous change and increase in the number of steps taken from one year to another. So just having the incentive actually created a behavioral change. Second is in Boston, the city really wanted, especially because of the pandemic, to focus on Black-owned, immigrant-owned, women-owned businesses, and they wanted people to shop there. A lot of the challenges was just awareness and getting people in the habit of doing so. And so by creating awareness and by creating a model where people were incentivized to shop at those businesses, we really saw an enormous increase in shopping there. And the data really was amazing to see how, a small, just the awareness sometimes creates a change. The last one that I'll just talk about is in general, which is how the effect of an incentive on doing things like shopping local. Sometimes we don't even realize, but the fact that if you have two businesses, you have an incentive to shop at, and the other you don't have an incentive, subconsciously and many times you will shop at the one with the incentive. And so the interesting thing is if you could align the incentives with businesses that are maybe green or sustainable businesses, with maybe women-owned businesses, then you can actually really direct the traffic to businesses that maybe need more support. And that way you're helping create a more vibrant city and ecosystem in your community, right? So you're creating more social and economic prosperity. So that's just a few examples here in the United States. And so Sebastian, do you want me just to walk through a little bit more?
Yes. I think because what is important for our fans and for our audience, just to understand the use case, because I think that in the moment, I believe in it, we will move this topic to Poland. That's why for me it's important to show how it works.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a few more examples. So first of all, just quickly talk about the problem. And one of the biggest challenges that we see, I alluded to it a little bit earlier, is that we definitely see that there aren't that many incentives for civic participation. We see that there often isn't transparency in how budgets are being spent. And a lot of times we see that there is limited trust in civil servants, and that's horrible. And I think there's such a big opportunity for that to change. And so that's why we see that, especially when you think about that, only 10% of countries have a system in place to track the impact of their budget. Think about that. There are a lot of opportunities to look at how the global economy can do better with transparency, right? And so again, this isn't specific just to cities, but this is in general. When you talk about budgets that are dedicated towards sustainability and impact, there are so many opportunities to do better. And a lot of the times, with UrbanChange, and this kind of goes to Sebastian, to your point about the different use cases, really the way it should be super easy and simple. So whether it's people who are in university or younger, or people who are retired, it doesn't matter how old you are, you should be able to have a very easy opportunity to do things and take action and be rewarded for it in your community. So if you think about it, you can see here, this is just one example of a city. If you clean up the beach, you can earn local coins. And the way it works is that you take the action, you verify. So look here, if you can see, take a video. So let's say you'll clean the beach, you'll take a video of you cleaning the beach, maybe a 30-second video, 60-second, whatever is decided. And once that's submitted and reviewed, you'll then earn 5 local coins, for example. So it's actually super cool to see how those types of initiatives can work. And again, just to kind of summarize the process, you'll take action. So you'll recycle, you'll clean the beach, you'll ride your bike, you'll maybe take the bus instead of taking your car. You'll earn local coins, you'll spend them locally, only locally. And that way you're on one hand doing one-time social impact, and the second time you're doing economic impact in your city. And that's what we think is super strong.
But it means, Michael, there is the pure circular economy, yes? The local coin is just moving from one place, but he still keeps he keeps in the local environment in the city, yep?
Exactly. So that's the interesting thing, is that we're preventing leakage, right? There isn't the leakage of the budget, and the budget stays local. And just to show you another example, I was also alluding to this earlier, it's how do you turn budget into impact? Let's just say $100. What can that be turned into? Maybe $100 can be turned into 25 public transportation rides. Maybe that $100 can be turned into 200 hours of cancer prevention education or 50 hours of beach cleanup. So it's always very interesting. And these are just numbers that obviously can be changed, but these are it's just an example to illustrate how you can really convert a budget into true outcomes that can help achieve a lot of times UN SDG goals. And I'll just show you a few other interesting use cases to your point, Sebastian. We look a lot at community engagement. And I think in cities, I believe also in Poland, things like volunteering, things like providing feedback to local representatives can be super, super impactful. We talk a lot about health and wellness and things that relate to preventive health, right? If you walk a certain amount of steps per day, if you get screened or tested, or if you get educated about things that relate to cancer prevention, in the long run, that actually creates a much better ecosystem because you're doing things proactively and not reactively, right? And then just two other main use cases that can be taken in many directions are, of course, sustainability, whether it's sustainability education, recycling. We all know that taking public transportation or riding your bike is way less polluting, generally speaking, than driving your vehicle. Things like planting trees, right? Anything like that. Those can all be rewarded in your community. And last thing, I think today is super important. It has to do with education, right? I'm sure most people are familiar with AI and the what's going on with artificial intelligence and the blockchain. And so people today need to learn skills in a way that's much faster than before. And by rewarding people for getting educated, the cities or communities can actually achieve in the long term a much more vibrant economy because people will have skills to be able to earn more money for their services or for their work that they provide. So providing the critical job training, STEM skills, it could be AI training, it could be blockchain training, that could in the future also provide people with a lot more jobs, especially today because the ecosystem is changing so fast. And you may know something today, but maybe you just need training in ChatGPT, and maybe that's enough, and you'll be able to do a lot more. So think about that. If a city can reward people for the time, right? That taking a 10-hour course, if the city will reward you for completing the course, then that can be actually a win-win. Sebastian, are you?
I'm here. Believe me, I'm struggling with some inconveniences now. I'm so happy that you have this flow to explain what you are doing. Currently, I don't know what has happened so far because I lost the connection 2 times, during 1 hour session. I don't know what has happened so far. However, it's good that I have you still on the line.
Yes.
I think, Michael, that for me, more or less, I understand the use case. What I love in it, that is that on the one hand, you know how to measure the impact. On the other hand, you are supporting local as well businesses, which could be connected with this project, which already is finally, it is co-project, in fact, done together with the city. On the other hand, those sustainable goals as well, circular economy, that this local coin is moving from the one place to another, and it just could be measurable, or I don't know what happened. I lost. Do you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
I still have problem with, 1 second, I will finish in the moment. I don't know what has happened, but it's good that you now hear me well. However, that you are covering those important elements of the smart city project. I'm so happy to have you on the line. That's why, unfortunately, 1 second, I will check. Give me a moment. If you can just finish the presentation, Michael, I will check again what is happening with the video, with my camera. If you can just consume another 1 minute, I will just fix it. Okay, please.
Perfect. Yeah. So let me just continue and run through. So basically the way it works from a city perspective or from a user perspective, is actually the way it works is you'll open the UrbanChange app. You'll pick your community, meaning you'll pick the community that you live in. Could be Minsk, Mazowiecki, could be Łódź, could be New York City in the future. And then in each community, you'll see the different ways that you can earn the community coins. So maybe it's by recycling, maybe it's by learning about sustainability, maybe it's about taking cleaning the beach or taking public transportation. You'll take your action, you'll earn local coins, and then you can only use those coins at local businesses in your city. So the way it'll work is that you'll be able to go to different merchants and you can then say, okay, I'm actually going to use my local coins. Now, each coin is worth $1. So of course, you'll be able to convert them to zloty or to whatever, local currency you have, depending on your city. So you'll see 20 local coins and then the conversion rate. And so you'll be able to pay with the local currency. And then the merchant would get it. So the interesting thing is that when you're paying the local coin, the circle of the local coin ends when you pay at a merchant. And that's what the interesting thing about the circular economy. So I'll just show you here, just as an example, the $50,000 budget will be translated into 50,000 bike rides incentivized. You'll create, let's say, an average 79,000 pounds of CO2 emissions saved, but then those $50,000 from here actually get spent locally, right? So you're really creating a closed loop circular economy, like you were saying, Sebastian, and that's where we see the impact and the potential here, because cities have a limited budget. It's not that cities have endless money. Cities have a limited budget, so if you're going to take that budget, why not maximize the outcomes and create a much more prosperous community?
Extremely nice case, honestly speaking, because I think that we are discussing, once again, I don't know, I think that I have some hacker on the line, believe me.
I can hear you.
I have some hacker because each time do you hear me well or not?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Because each time I try to speak, I have a problem just with my camera. I don't know what is happening, honestly speaking. I'm checking again even my phone. However, because normally, very often, even in Poland, Michael, we are discussing very often about the blockchain, how blockchain supports, maybe some kind of transparency as well as a security. But it's really hard to find nice use cases, which are showing that blockchain is not only the most secure way to keep some data, to store data, just after create as well some tools that gonna reuse it. However, blockchain it as well could be very efficient tool to support and to be in favor of all of sustainable goals. That is for me as well amazing. And that is, believe me, the first time I see this case. And tell me, in which cities in United States you already launched this solution?
Yeah, so in the United States, we're in cities like Akron, Ohio, Peachtree Corners, which is right outside of Atlanta. A big one that we'll be launching soon is Houston, Texas. So right now working on that. It should be the launch in next month. So that's one of the largest cities in the US. We've had programs in the city of Boston. And we're also in a bunch of different communities of different sizes. And I think that's what's interesting. Obviously, Houston is one of the largest cities in the United States. But then we're also in cities that have, populations of 40,000 actually, or 60,000. Cities like Peachtree Corners, Georgia, or Youngstown, Ohio, or Saline County, Kansas, that you may have not heard of in the past, but those are cities that have a wonderful population of people who are very eager to support their community and now have a tool to do so. So I think that the main point here is that the community doesn't have to be, the Warsaw or Krakow. It obviously could, but it could also be the much smaller and more robust and different communities that, like Minsk Mazowiecki, for example. So I think that's one of the unique parts of the model that we've learned over time also.
I believe in it, that in the moment we're going to say it in Minsk Mazowiecki, we can as well share with all of our, fans and our audience that we are working very hard to make even one small proof of concept in Poland. I really believe that we will be able to do it within a certain period of the time, that in the moment you will see the tangible proof that blockchain can support really circular economy as well as the sustainable goals. Michael, thank you very much, because I still see myself on the screen. Michael, thank you very much. Thank you very much that you accept the invitation to take a part of our live show. I hope that we will meet soon in Poland. You promised me to be personally, that we will have as well a time to visit probably the first place in Poland we're going to implement, or we're going to organize the trial to show that blockchain make much more definitions than only one connected with the security, transparency, immutability, etc. Michael, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That is your last words, if you want to say something.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really look forward to it. And I'm super excited about the work that you're doing with Minsk Mazowiecki and the blockchain city. It's really exciting for us to see. It's everything that we always wanted to find. It's these types of initiatives. So we're super excited about it at UrbanChange, and really hope to make an impact and achieve a lot of the different UN SDG goals and really make our society better and more friendly for the future.
Michael, thank you very much. I'm going to solo. Ladies and gentlemen, François, because it's in English, when app will be able to use, I think in the moment in Poland, we mentioned about the city as well, Minsk Mazowiecki. We made some kind of first, it's really hard to commitment, however, we got the will of mayor and vice mayor to try out the solution in Minsk Mazowiecki, that for sure Minsk Mazowiecki will be the first city in Poland. We're going to show real, tangible use case using blockchain, which is in fact supporting all of those goals we mentioned. Now I'm switching to Polish. Moi drodzy, tak jak powiedziałem, dziękuję wam bardzo, dziękuję wam serdecznie, że byliście dzisiaj z nami. Niestety, słuchajcie, ale jakieś problemy wydarzyły się dzisiaj na linii. Cały czas przerwała mi wideo, nie wiem dlaczego. Jak na złość, na samą końcówkę jestem z wami, co mnie osobiście bardzo, bardzo cieszy. Ja wam bardzo dziękuję. Zapraszam was do subskrybowania kanału Miasto. Dzisiaj, jak wspominałem, naszym gościem był Michael Mazur from United States, New York. Pokazał nam dosyć ciekawą implementację, prawdziwy use case, który łączy w sobie blockchain oraz cele, które są jednymi z najważniejszych dla nie tylko polskich miast. Już za chwilę kolejny interesujący gość, z którym będziemy rozmawiali w przyszłym tygodniu w poniedziałek, a teraz ja was bardzo, bardzo gorąco żegnam, zapraszam was na kanał i do zobaczenia i jak zawsze żegnamy się naszym fajnym intro i do zobaczenia. Hej!